Hey guys, Desolate Magic here, and we've got more spoilers, 39 of them today. Holy cow, so I'm going to blow through these pretty quick. But I definitely saw some absolute gems brought up in my Discord server, so we're in for a treat today, boys. First up, we got Illustrious Historian, a 2-1 for 2. That I guess you want to get killed on purpose because you can pay 5, exile himself from your graveyard, and then create a tapped 3-2 white and red spirit creature token. Why tapped instead of just excluding it to sorcery speed, I don't know. They paid 5, just give them the dang creature untapped. Next up, we got Revel in Silence, which I think is actually the backside, but honestly, who cares? It's an MDFC, so they're equal, technically, and can't flip, so who cares? It's a double white instant. Your opponents can't cast spells or activate Planeswalker's loyalty abilities this turn, and then exile Revel in Silence. I mean, it is all spells. That's pretty harsh. So in some of the earlier core sets, we had just the spell Silence, which costs 1 white and does pretty much the same thing. Your opponents can't cast spells this turn. So this one adds in Planeswalker abilities and costs 2, and then you exile it, so that you can't sit there and cast it over and over and over. Except you could just stick this on Isochron Scepter. So pretty darn powerful. I mean, if you just wiped out their whole board, and then during their upkeep you cast this, they ain't coming back. Next up, we got Flame Scroll Celebrant. It's a 2-cost 2-1. Whenever an opponent activates an ability that isn't a mana ability, Flame Scroll Celebrant deals 1 damage to that player. Problem is, you're probably in more trouble because of that ability than 1 damage is going to make you come back from. But they put another ability. This is a 2-1 for 2, but then it can get +2 attack for just 2, and you can pump that multiple times. That is basically just joint fire breathing. You got to do it 2 at a time, but other than that, it's just fire breathing. You pay 6 mana, you do 6 more damage. That has been historically very OP and very problematic, so I think this is going to be a very popular card. Next up, we've got your pal Cody, the Vociferous Codex. Or Vociferous. Who knows? English is weird. So this legendary artifact creature construct, I guess a living book carrier, is a 1-4, so not the easiest thing to remove. It's only 3 mana to get it out, and you can't cast permanent spells. What a delightful way to start the card. So, artifacts, enchantments, planeswalkers, and creatures, all out. And then, if you pay 4, tap it, and add 1 mana of every color to your mana pool. When you cast your next spell this turn, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile an instant or sorcery card with lesser mana value. Also known as Cascade. If you're gonna put Cascade on a card, just put the word Cascade on a damn card. I'm sure it doesn't work exactly how Cascade does, but let's be honest, that's Cascade. So, until end of turn, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost, so yeah, that's Cascade. Put each other card exiled this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. So you can't cast permanent spells, but you can just absolutely blast them 2 at a time with instants and sorceries. And every time you pay 4 to activate it, you get 5. So, okay. I could see this being a commander. Definitely. Any kind of oops all spells deck? Sure. You get them 2 at a time, let's go. I do think this is more of a gimmick. People are worried about this, but like, I mean, what are you going to do? I guess you could throw it out there for 3 and burn, but you still have to have 4 to go searching for something, and burn doesn't usually have 4 and 5 cost spells. Or use any of the colors other than red. But maybe, like, you could throw this in like a Rakdos Kidnapper deck and just go get a second active treason effect, and then still sack it with Witch's Oven? I don't know. I mean, if that's the only instance of sorceries in your deck, or every time you kidnap something, you go get a removal spell in black or red, well, okay, that would be pretty good. We'll have to see what this goes in. This is a very interesting card. Next up, we got Combat Professor. And of course, he's in white, the color that actually cares about combat, unlike the other colors, which are just dancing around and writing songs and poetry and all that other useless, non-magical crap. Stupid liberal arts colleges. Anyway, he's 4-cost 2-3 with flying, so he's already pretty garbage. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gains +1/+0 and gains vigilance till end of turn. Not worth 4 even as a cleric. Next up, Magma Opus. Haha. A play on words. So this is a mythic instant and it costs 8. Now remember all of the free casting that we have for instants and sorceries already? So Captain Flaming Elephant here says it deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of targets. So players, planeswalkers, creatures, whatever. Tap 2 target permanents, which I'd say might backfire because it doesn't say up to 2, but if there's only 1 creature in play and it's theirs and you're like, well, I need a second target, target one of your own lands that's already tapped, which is, I guess, why they didn't put that, but I don't know, for standards reasons, I would have put it on there. Then create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token, draw 2 cards. And then if you pay 2, Is this an on the stack effect? We haven't seen an activated ability on a spell in forever. Oh no, it's an alternate casting cost. Okay. I was going to say, I thought they were done doing that, but there's a lot of things I thought they were done doing. So if you want, you can just pay 2 hybrid, discard it, and then create a treasure token, which is kind of like super cycling if you think about it. Like, yeah, you got to pay for it, but then you get a treasure out of it instead of just another card. Although you also don't then get another card. I'd rather take the card. I don't know. People are just going to free cast this, let's be honest. And then if it accidentally ends up in their hand, they'll just ditch it and create a treasure, obviously. I mean, that's what it's built for. So, interesting card. Even for free, it's not that devastating. It's just good. I would say even if you just straight up pay the 8, you're kind of getting ripped off. That's not a very good price. Next up, one of the 10 bajillion foreign cards that I get to deal with in the set of spoilers. Oh, good. Grinning Ignis. Follow along as I read it. It's a 3-cost 2/2. I think this actually might be a reprint. Creature elemental. If you pay 1 red, return Grinning Ignis to its owner's hand, and then add 2 generic mana, or no, two literally colorless mana, as if there's a difference, plus 1 red to your mana pool. Activate this ability only anytime you can cast a sorcery. So, Simian Spirit Guide and Seething Song and Rite of Flame are all banned in Modern, and they thought this was a good idea. And remember, everything I just said is a one and done. You pay mana, you get more mana, which is just inherently mathematically broken. Why they thought any of that would ever deserve to be anywhere other than on the ban list was just amazing. And now they're like, well, we'll give you a +2, a net +2. And this time, instead of it being an instant or sorcery, we're just going to let you do it over and over and over. And remember, this isn't a tap ability. You can just do this. So I checked, this actually is a reprint. It was in, Future Sight and Modern Masters 1. Oh, and Time Spiral Remastered. So I can't say, oh, it's going to ruin every format ever. Yeah, it already would have. And I think the net -1 mana to make this like a near infinite loop, when there are true creature yo-yo ETB, infinite loops in the game, is why nobody really focused on this. And plus it's red. Usually those effects are black. So if you're not following the math on that, you drop it in for 3, then you pay 1, so you're up to 4 to return it to hand and gain 3 mana. And then to bring it back into play, you spend the 3 mana and then pay 1 to bring him back to hand. So if you have a lot of mana, you could, bring him back and forth from hand to battlefield over and over and over. Not infinite times, but a lot. And then if you have a really, really good ETB trigger, like whenever a creature enters battlefield, blah, do this, you can do some damage, that's for sure, but you can do a lot more damage with a lot of mana in red than this, so I don't know, I'm not that worried about this, I just don't like it. What the true intended purpose of this clearly is to invest 2 mana in the next turn, because you're spending all your mana now, and then you're going to pay 1 next turn to get 3. Which will enable you to repeatedly, every 2 to 3 turns, cast a spell that you normally wouldn't have enough mana for, which is pretty limited compared to just, oh, all spells are reduced by 4, or oh, all your spells are free from now on. Fires of Invention. And, that's dangerous. So we'll see if anybody ends up playing this. It's not very good as a creature, but it's an elemental. So I think a lot of the elemental ETB crap cycled out with Ravnica, but I could be wrong. Actually, I haven't seen that stupid crawler in a while. That probably cycled out. The thing where every time an elemental enters play, then it gets a counter. Yeah, that would be a problem with this card. So they're playing with fire, but let's move on. Next up, we got Elemental Summoning. It's a 3+2 hybrid sorcery lesson. Create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. So another lesson, that's when we're in the danger zone, but you pay 5 to get a 4/4 creature, a vanilla token creature. Yeah, I don't care. Next up, Expression of Repetition. It's a 2-cost sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand, 1 on the bottom of your library, then exile the rest. Until the end of turn, you may play the exiled card. Okay, well that's unbelievably overpowered for 2. It's basically Mega Ponder. It's Ponder Storm and Tissa Opt. So you get one, you get access to another, and then the other one goes to exile for 2. I mean, that's ridiculous. Next up, Expressive Artist. I told you the other colors are up to some dumb crap. Anyway, it's a quad hybrid orc wizard, and he has Magecraft, which I'm starting to think is the more dangerous mechanic. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, target a creature you control. That's an odd way to phrase it. I think that's a mistranslation, because it's, I don't know. Until end of turn, it has, if this creature would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. And when you exile this creature, create a red-blue 4/4 elemental creature token. I guarantee that's not how it's phrased in English, but basically, if it leaves the battlefield for any reason this turn or until end of turn, then you get a 4/4 replacement. Well, if this was a different color, this would be beyond problematic in that indestructible dog and then the Eidolon, those two, where they make their cards indestructible or color-proof. Yeah, it's leaving the battlefield, and it's a 1/1, and Lura says they're coming right back. So, plus all the Black Resurrection. So that's a black-white deck, but boy, if you found a way to sneak this in there, holy crap. That deck doesn't need any help, and it would be a disaster running it as a 4-color deck, but boy, hopefully nothing like that is discovered. Like, as in one that's on color. Next up, we've got Creative Outburst. That's a 7 cost. So in other words, another free casting target. Creative Outburst deals 5 damage to any target. Look at the top 5 cards of your library, put one of them in your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order, and then you can pay 2, discard it, and create a treasure. AKA Mega Cycling. Yep, like I said, you just sit there and stall and ramp until you can either ramp your way into it, which why the hell are you then not casting Ugin instead of this garbage? Let's be honest, it's probably an Ugin deck at that point, but the only ramp mechanic and colors that I'm seeing right now are green-blue. And this is distinctly double red in the cost, so, I don't know, you might be able to make it happen somehow. But for 7, this is just pathetic. It's a good way to go get Ugin, I guess, but yeah, this is just going to be, I don't need any of this, well, I'll leave it in my opening hand, boom, chuck it, get a treasure, single-use ramp, and then you're already still later in the game casting something earlier than you should be able to, so interesting archetype, but very dangerous archetype. We'll see how it turns out. Next up, Solve the Equation. 3-cost blue sorcery, search your library for an instant or sorcery card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. Great, a blue tutor for 2 less than a normal tutor. Wonderful. Well, that's going to be problematic. At least I didn't put Learn on it, but now you can go with Learn into your Swiss Army sideboard, which isn't a real sideboard, to go get exactly what you need, and then you can go into your deck to get exactly what you need. You'll always have exactly what you need. Wonderful. And then this sets off 9 different Magecraft triggers, so, yeah, I'm starting to see a problematic deck approaching. Next up, Explosive Welcome. It's an 8-cost instant, so another free casting target. No way in hell are you going to pay 8 for this. Explosive Welcome deals 5 damage to any target and 3 damage to any other target. And then get a refund of 3, really. You're going to add 3 red to your mana pool. Just so that you can get some more free casting, degenerate, overpowered, ramp to hell bullshit going, really. Anyway, next up we got Make Your Mark Hybrid 1. Okay, instant. Target creature gains +1/+0 until end of turn. When it costs 1, it actually should be hybrid, because we already know this is going to be a boost ambush deck with pseudo-heroic. But then when that creature dies this turn, I should say if, let's be, optimistic, create a 3/2 white and red spirit creature token. Well, it doesn't boost the toughness, so yeah, that creature's dying this turn. It is an ambush boost with you getting a 3/2 out of it, and then you might be able to ambush boost that. That's not bad. That's probably about the same as having the creature live, I guess. So, whatever. Next up, we got Mage Hunter. I guess they're revealing the storyline here. There's some mage hunting creepy crawly critter horrors, and they're hunting the mages, so they call them Mage Hunters. Very innovative storytelling. So anyway, it's a 4-cost 3/4 horror, and whenever an opponent casts or copies an instant or sorcery spell, also known as Magecraft, but I guess they didn't want to give him that, they lose 1 life. Good, a counter to this spell spamming storm horseshit. I hope they put this on 67 different creatures. So the flavor text here, which should reveal something, is one of the Orique's most powerful tools is the Mage Hunter, a vile monstrosity created to seek out and snuff out the arcane. Hopefully they put a beholder on a card one set early. Next up, we've got Explore the Wastelands, which is the back card on another one here. It's a 3-cost generic or colorless, whatever, who cares at this point, sorcery. Each player looks at the top 5 cards of their library, reveals a land card and or an instant or sorcery card from among them, and puts the revealed cards, into their hand, and the rest on the bottom of their library in random order. Each player gains 3 life. If you're going to cast a spell that benefits your opponent just as much as you better be damn confident that your deck is stronger than theirs. It's not even stronger, it's like if you're going to progress the game, then you better hope that their deck isn't faster than yours. So I don't like this, but on the other side, we have Wandering Archaic and Avatar. Those are always cool. I can just imagine him just wandering the wilderness and he comes across a school every once in a while. He's just like, let me in. And they're like, no, you're too ugly to learn magic. I assume that's the deep lore behind this. Anyway, it's a 4/4 creature for 5. And whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, they may pay 2. If they don't, you may copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. That is so oppressive and broken. It is unbelievable. Now, The best thing is for you, it might be a complete and utter miss. They might be running a vast majority creature deck. So yes, I'm absolutely delighted that this completely shuts down counterspells because you'll just clone their counterspell and then counter their counterspell. But they can pay their way out of it, so it's not even like that good. It's super late game, so you're probably already dead. If it's a control deck with a lot of, counterspells and kill spells, they're just going to kill this or counter it. It's never going to see the battlefield. The other side literally just helps a control deck, so I'm not sure what this was supposed to fight except for a spell spamming storm deck, some kind of pseudo Izzet, Neo, whatever the hell, what is it, Prismari? The Izzet clone, but with more dancing. I guess it's meant to shut them down, but for how powerful this is, it's 5. I mean, make it a 1-cost artifact if you really want to piss people off. But should this exist? Probably not. But is it even in any way more oppressive than your opponent can't cast more than 1 spell per turn? Or actually, it's usually each player. No, absolutely not. Because you can pay your way out of it. But I don't know, 2 is a lot. If you want to spell, you have 5 mana available and you're casting a 3 or 4 cost spell, well, 2 is a lot. And a spell that costs 1 or 2 probably doesn't do much, isn't worth paying more for. But it's not like it gets countered, it's just you get 1. But then, in theory, if it's a damage to the face, you wouldn't want to cast it because they'll hit you right back. Same with, you lose a creature, you're going to slap them right back with they lose a creature if you have this in play. So while it suppresses instants and sorceries, it doesn't really. And a lot of the best effects are actually on mutate. Kill spells are on mutate. There's a lot of kill spell, planeswalker abilities. And believe it or not, with how powerful and annoying this is, which to the point where I don't think they should have printed this, it should not exist. I actually don't think it's that good of a card. So it's incredibly annoying, but also ineffective, which means it's just all around a terrible card. Next up, Stonebinder's Familiar. It's a 1-cost 1/1 Spirit Duggo, and whenever 1 or more cards are put into exile during your turn, put a 1/1 counter on Stonebinder's Familiar. That's 1 or more, not 1 per. This ability triggers only once each turn. Yes, I just said that. Okay, it's per instance of them going in, and then also suppressed per turn for separate triggers. Yeah, this is like Luminarch Aspirant, except complete crap. When you set the bar that high, where are you going to go with it? Until that cycles out, there's going to be no other creature better than Luminarch. If you don't remember, every single turn you get a counter for sitting on your ass doing nothing. Oh, and the counter can go wherever you want. So next up, we got Gazaleth Prismari, the Elder Dragon of the Prismari, I almost said guild. Let's be honest, it's a guild. Do you think he's disappointed in how geeky his stupid, band kid college turned out? So anyway, it's a 3/4 for 4, finally a reasonably priced one, with flying, and when he enters the battlefield, create a treasure. Nice. Little partial 1-use refund there, and then artifacts you control. Since when does Prismari use artifacts? They have tap, add 1 mana of any color. Oh, wow. So universal, what do they call that? Not artifact affinity, metalcraft, is that what it was? I don't remember. And then use this mana only to cast sorcery and instant spells. Saw that coming. So your single-use treasures become multi-use. There's no other artifacts in this set. In this college. I haven't seen a single piece of equipment. I guess there's probably some generic stuff, but it's not a Prismari artifact. So their whole thing is occasionally making treasures, and then this guy just makes their treasures persistent, which is, pretty darn good. This would be a pretty good way to help you, ramp up to a high level and start casting, 7 and up spells, except that all those spells suck for 7, and this also doesn't do anything to actually ramp the mana. It just makes you not have it be a one and done. But if you take the dwarf treasure generators and other cards from other sets, ooh, now we got something. So next up, we got another Elder Dragon. It's Tenazir Quandrix. How exciting. So it's a 5-cost 4/4 Elder Dragon, flying, trample, nice. And when it enters the battlefield, double the number of 1/1 counters on target creature you control. That's inherently broken. And then whenever Tenazir Quandrix attacks, you may have the base power and toughness of other creatures you control become equal to this guy's power and toughness until end of turn. So it's for a counter deck. We all know that mechanic in those 2 colors right now is land fetched, land ramp. You're probably not doing proliferate because, it's cycled out. It's not like I've never seen people run proliferate, which strangely none of the cards have the word proliferate on it, and they're still playing proliferate. That's how unbelievably broken that is currently in standard. Now you get to double 1, and then you start dumping counters on him and then just boosting everybody on swing. You could actually run this just completely solo in a token dump deck. This is actually going to be a good commander card. I know I'm bouncing around in between formats, but you guys get all pissy if I don't. Next up, I'm not even going to try. Portuguese is impossible to pronounce. It's Hall Monitor. It's a 1-cost red 1/1 lizard, shaman with haste, and if you pay 2, tap it, target creature can't block this turn. Such an annoying effect. I hate that. This is just a red rush enabler. You get your biggest one, you strap Embercleave to it, and then you make sure they can't block in the first place. I mean, ban Embercleave. What more do I need to say? Next up, multiple choice. Boy, that looks like a fun quiz. They just blast magic in your face in the middle of a cave. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, it's a blue rare sorcery with X. Here we go. This should be interesting. So 1 + X, solve for X, obviously. And then if X is 1, scry 1, then draw a card. If X equals directly 2, not, you get all these, you may choose a player. They return a creature they control of their choice to its owner's hand. And then if X equals 3, create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. And then if X is 4 or more, do all of these, all of the above. This is so close to being an uncard. It's so meta. It's so fourth wall breaking. This is amazing. So, I mean, that's a good value for 5. I mean, I gotta say, 5 total mana, X equals 4, you get all those? Hey, a 4/4 creature, a scry, a card, and a bounce. I mean, that's not bad. And by the way, you can select yourself for the second one. That is just a damn good card. I bet that'll be above $5. Next up, Igneous Inspiration, a 3-cost sorcery in red, deals 3 damage to any target, and then learn. Great. Well, we only have 2 really bad lesson cards so far, so like I said, we might come out to the other side of this not too unharmed, but we'll see. So next up, Maelstrom Muse. It's a one of those again. 4-cost, semi-hybrid, semi-dual, semi-generic costed spell. It's a flying creature 2/4, and when it attacks, the next instant or sorcery you cast this turn will cost X less to cast. God, why can't I read or talk today? X being the power of Maelstrom Muse as this ability is resolved. And they said that because damn well you're going to stack a boost spell on it, which just do it before combat then. It's not really free casting, it's just casting assistance. My issue is that it doesn't expire till the end of turn. I feel like that's a little much, but, whatever. It lets you do sorceries then, so, okay. And this is more casting assistance than, making, like a true free cast, but if you have, like, a 5-cost all-generic mana sorcery, which a lot of those exist, you could theoretically cast it for 0, but remember, it's going to be a reduction of 2 by default unless you find a way to boost him. And if you did, you probably just spent mana on it. So it's like, what's the point? But we all know the boost colors are going to be red-white. So, I mean, unless you want to splash blue, there's no point in running this. Although, I mean, if you're holding a counter spell, that'd be kind of fun. But yeah, I mean, swinging in the air for 2 for 4 mana, that's not good enough for that effect at all. Next up, Prismari Campus. That's just another of them pay 4 scry lands, garbage dual lands, whatever. They might get you out of a tough situation, though, but you won't be happy about it. Next up, Prismari Pledgemaster. It's a dual hybrid 3/3 defender, and it has Magecraft, and when the Magecraft trigger goes off, it can attack this turn as though it didn't have Defender. That's kind of nice, not too OP. It's just kind of neat. Next up, Spectacle Mage. It's a 3-cost 2/2 flyer. Instant and sorcery spells you cast with mana value 5 or greater, cost 1 less to cast. Well, there's another enabler, but good luck leaving them all in play, plus some treasures, plus the dragon, and then not dying in the meantime. I don't think that the Prismari is going to be very good in standard constructed, or especially in draft. Next up, Practical Research. Hey, it's Will and Kenrith. I'm sticking with it, damn it. I think one of them's named Rowan. Shut up, their name is Kenrith. By the way, I think their dad's name is Kenrith, which is even funnier. Do you think Kenrith is disappointed that he not only joined WHAM, but then went back to go get a fine arts degree after that? I mean, that's just a 1-2 punch right there. I don't know if I could take that. Anyway, it's a 5-cost, instant, draw 4 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an instant or sorcery, which in those colors you really wouldn't want to do. I mean, if it's irrelevant, cool, but yeah, this whole damn college, whatever the hell it is, costs too damn much. But I recall saying that about the last one too, the white-red guys, so apparently just this whole damn set costs an average CMC of 5. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, none of these spells are even castable. Which is fine. I don't want him to do more damage to standard, thanks. Next up, Rutha Mercurial Artist. It's a 1/4 for 3, legendary creature Orc Shaman, and if you pay 2, return Rutha, we get it, her name, it's too long, to its owner's hand. Copy, target, instant or sorcery you control. I was waiting for the copy effect because it kept saying copy on Magecraft. And then you may choose new targets for the copy. So you got to pay 2 to copy it, and then you lose her. Well, to hand. So you lose a pretty good blocker, but I don't know. And the best part is you can't pay 2 just to save her from like getting destroyed, because you have to have a valid target for the ability, and it says instant or sorcery spell you control. But yeah, I mean, paying 2 for spell cloning, I mean, there ain't nothing new about that. It's good. It's not just inherently a disaster. It can be, but it's not too bad. It's usually just good. Next up, well, that's a blurry, unreadable mess. Usually I put people on blast for whoever was dumb enough to do this, because it's like you had one job, and that job is to do marketing for Wizards for free with no compensation whatsoever. But it's Daquan Watson, aka Power Dragon, on Twitter, and I looked at the source and it's clear as day. So, well then, what the hell am I doing with this version? So, okay, maybe like, I don't know, some initial tweet had it compressed to hell, or somebody used Twitter mobile. I don't know what happened here. Who knows? I'm on mythicspoiler.com, obviously. So no shade to Mr. Dragon. But this looks like the big bad of the lore here, the big villain in the storyline, Mr. Exes, the Auric Overlord. We all know Auric is the, I don't know, cult or whatever that's attacking the school. So on the front side, we've got double black, single white, 1 generic. Hey, I didn't call it colorless this time, as if anybody gives a flying f*** about the difference. So this is a human warlock with double strike. He's a 2/4, and magecraft, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, return target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to your hand, not the battlefield. Hey, they finally didn't take a main character and push it to hell and back power-wise. It's a free partial resurrection. You still have to pay for that creature. Now still, I mean, this is basically another Luris, let's be honest. So I'm not writing it off as not problematic. It's definitely still problematic. It's just only problematic because of Luris, because of the redundancy, and because of Selfless Savior and the Al Said or whatever the hell that card is. So yeah, that's going to be really annoying. And then on the back, which really has nothing to do with the front, it's different colors even. We get an 8 cost that can be reduced all the way down to 2. Okay. Because as an additional cost, you could sack any creatures you control, then per creature you discount the spell by 2. So that's cool. And then each opponent sacks a creature, which is nice. And then create a 3/6 black and red avatar creature token with haste. And whenever this creature attacks, it deals 3 damage to each opponent. Very nice. Semi-trample. That's a powerful token if you manage to clone this. I mean, that's no joke either. So all around, very good spell. Maybe a little bit too good. Next up, we got Defend the Campus. It's a 4 cost instant. You can choose one of the 2 modes. Creatures you control get +1/+1 till end of turn, which is pathetic for 4. Or destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. I mean, okay, I'm used to that being like an emergency draft control card that's unplayable in Constructed, like a way overcosted removal that also has a restriction on it. Specifically in the common slot, specifically for the purposes of draft. I mean, this ain't new. But then the option to just at instant speed ambush them with a +1/+1 when you just swing all out, you could actually win a game with that. I'm more like, +4/+4 to a creature of my choice, but this is good. Next up, we've got Dominio Estro, which sounds like a black metal band from like South Africa or something. Like, it's Spanish, I get it, but it sounds Latin. And anyway, it's 4 cost, black instant, and you may pay 2 instead of paying the spell's mana cost. Wait, that's the end of that sentence? And then the next sentence is effectively, if you do pay the cost of 2. Whatever happened to like comma if you do? Like, isn't that how they usually write this? I don't know. It might be a translation thing, but like, that's really weird. Let me just explain what this card does instead of trying to translate it. Okay, you can pay 4 and it exiles a creature or planeswalker. Cool, great, we needed that. Wonderful. Instant speed, love it. Yay, let's go. With that Liliana looking in the mirror spell, I mean, we got 2 of them now. Planeswalkers are dead. Good. The only good planeswalker is a dead planeswalker. Now, instead of paying the 4, you can pay 2, but if you do, your opponent may draw a card. That is actually really neat, and I love this card. That is such a, like, alpha move, too. Like, I'll let you have a card. I just killed your creature, your planeswalker, or exiled it, actually. You can have a card. It's not going to make up for this. I'm still going to win. So, next up, we got Clever and Luminancer. Luminancer. In my opinion, it should say Luminmancer, but it's Lumimancer. Anyway, it's a 0/1 for 1 human wizard with Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, Clever Luminance, you know what? It's just not going to get done today. We're not going to get a clean one of that. This creature gets +2/+2 till end of turn. You want to talk about a boosty boy to run in your deck. Holy shit. The definition of a boosty boy is when you're already ambush boosting your opponent, it also gets another boost on top of it. Usually boosty boys are ones with, my brain doesn't work all damn week. Oh yeah, prowess. The one that doesn't sound like it has anything to do with what it does. Oh, what? God, my phone's been going off all day. Oh, a special weather event. Oh, well, welcome to Wisconsin. What is it, too nice out? It's dangerously nice out? Is that what they're warning me about? Oh, winds equivalent to a nuclear blast are gonna rip all of our houses apart. What the else is new? I was out catching Pokemon between some rather tall buildings yesterday, and I almost actually got blown off my feet. And I'm about 215 pounds. And I ain't no big, broad, white boy like Captain Emo Jedi, whatever the hell his name was. The OG wide boy. The Sith make them extra wide. Next up, we got Mussolini. That's actually a rather awkward word for Spanish, but it's murciélago, con acento en el medio del palabra. No sé por qué. It's probably from an otro idioma, because I don't remember the word for language. So anyway, this is bat eye. Oh, it's a compound word, probably. I get it. Oh yeah, Murciel and then ojo. I get it. That took me way too long to solve the puzzle. Anyway, it's one cost, one bat with flying, yay, and when it dies, learn. Fantastic. Block once on turn 2 and then start the game out with a free tutor. That's not broken at all, is it? It's a good thing like 90% of the lessons are unplayable and the only problematic ones are, well, one in black, but okay, we can get past that. And then the land fetcher, which is colorless. Actually, yeah, that would be a problem with this thing. Start the game with a land boost just because this is in your hand. I mean, you got to get him killed and then you got to cast the land fetcher. Why don't you just replace it with the land, though? Then it'll be the same thing, but with less casting. So I'm not sure the math is there, but I don't know. It looks a little early for a learn. And you know the worst lessons are coming on the last day of spoilers, right? Like, we all know that. Next up, it's Enorme Decepción, which, of course, is enormous deception. And it says every player loses 2 life, rob 2 cards. Yeah, they don't have a word for draw, so they just use rob in Spanish. So every time you're drawing a card, you're actually stealing them from your own deck. Ironic, considering the rules consider you the owner of the card. Let me just real quick translate that flavor text for you. The dean of students, something iguana, I don't know, the scrutinizing of the something a semester or 2. Killian did something, like lifted something, is that what that is? Something all his life. There you go. I would say that's a very representative expression of how much Spanish I know. I know like 1/3 of Spanish. So this is read the bones, but I think for 1 more mana, you get everybody in on the life loss, but then you don't get to scry first. I would say this is overall a much weaker card, but, you know, it's in the common slot, and Read the Bones is actually like a fairly expensive card, believe it or not. Before it was in Theros, I think it was like $1, and if you want it in foil from anything, it's $5. So next up, we got Poeta Creído, which stands for Black Butterfly. Or they put Believed Poet. I would say Believable Poet. I guess if you want to get super literal, it's Credible Poet. We'll see what they went with in English, but it's a 2-cost human warlock. I got thrown off by brujo. I didn't know that actually was a word in Spanish. I thought they only had bruja, and it was witch. So I guess the male version is warlock, which probably just means male witch. I mean, you know. So this says whenever... Really, that's how you phrase that? Whenever this creature basically attacks, you can pay 2 life. If you do, gain the ability of flight until the end of turn. Oh, it gains. Yes, that would be the word low that I just read right past. God, I gotta study up, dude. No, you, the player, gain the power of flight until end of turn. Yeah, that ain't worth 2 life. You could strap Shadow Spear to him and this wouldn't be worth 2 life. Because you probably have a better creature that could have had Shadow Spear on it. Next up, it's a boring English card. Let's just skip it. Okay, just kidding. Culmination of Studies. It's a 2-cost plus X. Interesting. Rare sorcery. Ooh. And, it's the Wham twins, zapping the crap out of that dude who's attacking the school, but turned himself into an avatar of who the hell knows what. I think that guy from Mortal Kombat, is he the one with 4 arms? Anyway, exile the top X cards of your library. For each land card exiled this way, create a treasure token. Nice. And for each blue card exiled this way, draw a card. Nice. And for each red card exiled this way, Culmination of Studies deals 1 damage to each opponent. That's just a neat-ass spell right there. That's just take a bunch of cards off the top of your library, chuck them into a blender, and see what happens. And then throw the resulting smoothie in your opponent's face. I gotta say, that's one of the most unique and interesting cards in this set. And it doesn't scream overpowered because, you know, the more you put into it, the better it gets, which is how like the game of Magic scales. That's the fundamental, like, how mana works. It's how lands work. So why not print more spells leveraging that, Wizards, instead of just, oh, here's an all-powerful game-ending card for 2 because you, which is really the other most common design philosophy at Wizards of the Coast. Well, I gotta say, they probably gave away the ending of the story here, which I should probably start reading at some point, considering 2 chapters are already out. Oh, look, Will and Kenrith save the day and defeat the bad guy. Wow, school's safe. Yay. I'm sure there's more to it. I don't know if the guy turned himself into this or just summoned this guy as an avatar. I mean, it could be either. Who knows? We'll find out. I'm interested in the story, so as soon as I got more time, I'm going to read it. Might make a video on it too, I guess. Oh, and the flavor text is Will's quick thinking meshed with Rowan's, her name's not Rowan, it's Kenrith, damn it, raw power to bring down the blood avatar. Wow, there you go. Next up, it's Resculpt, a 2-cost instant, exile target artifact or a creature. Its controller creates a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. Boy, you're still gonna feels bad, man, on this spell if it, you got rid of a 12/12 and they still get a 4/4 out of it. I think this is more like, wow, I need some backup. Turn one of my treasures into a 4/4. I mean, it's artifact or creature. So, I mean, not even great in an emergency, but it's a good ramp for you, I guess. I mean, and honestly, on turn 2, you could, like, turn an Ornithopter into an absolute beast, but you could just use Ensoul Artifact, a better card. Next up, we got Illustrious Historian. It's a 2-cost 2/1 human shaman. If you pay 5, then you realize that you already covered this card. Very unique ability there. I haven't seen that on a card lately. So that's it for spoilers. I can't wait to edit all this. And I don't know. I mean, people are whining about that book, but we've seen, I mean, you think that stacks up to Aetherworks Marvel? Really? You think that stacks up to Oko? Are you out of your damn mind? There isn't currently a viable burn deck, and almost everything we've seen so far in red doesn't hit the player's face. So I'm not that worried. I'm a little bit concerned about it, but we'll see. I think most of the rumblings about that are, oh my god, I'm going to put that in my commander deck. So don't get it twisted that, oh, hyper powerful card, and then people think that applies to standard too. That is absolutely not true, necessarily. So this might actually be a very reasonable set. I mean, I know we've seen, 1 or 2 problem cards? I mean, that's low for them at this point, but can't wait to see what else they come up with. I'll see you guys next video.